welcome back. It is the end of April. This has been a crazy month, and not in more ways than one. The beginning of this month, I live in Alberta, Canada, and the beginning of this month there was snow on the ground and it was freezing cold. And then today it's like sunshiny and warm and like you don't even need a coat. So it's been a journey of a month. And that's kind of reflected in my rather odd reading wrap up for this past month. I think every book is like a wildly different genre. I really didn't have any kind of theme or thing that I was kind of stuck with. I was just kind of jumping all over the place. I'm very much a mood reader. My brain is all over the place. And it's been kind of odd, but that's okay. So in this monthly wrap up, I'm going to look at the books I read in April. I'm going to look at what I'm reading right now, and then I'm going to look forward to what I might read later maybe. But that's probably going to be a pack of lies because I'm all over the place and my brain is just like, ooh, we need to read this right now. And I'm like, really? Okay, I guess. So we'll see how this goes. But anyways, this is what I read in the month of April. So starting off, I read Second Self by Una McCormick. This is one of the Star Trek Picard tie-in novels. These are kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I love reading them before I go to bed. Also, they're very satisfying hardcovers to read. They're really good quality, and like the paper's really thick, and so, I don't know, they're just, in a tactile sense, these are fun to read. But I actually enjoyed this one. Usually these tie-in novels, they sort of let the author play with the toys, but put everything back in the box when they're done. And in this one, they let the author make a pretty big decision about like a pretty important legacy character. So I was impressed with that, and the writing style was pretty cool. It was also really interestingly structured, which is always fun. So I did enjoy that one. Next up, I continued my Wheel of Time reread with The Path of Daggers. This is book 8. This is very much one of those ones that's setting things up for future books, so I don't really remember a lot of important, earth-shattering things that happened. I just remember... Well, actually, there is one earth-shattering thing that happened, but it kind of just happened. You're like, okay. But it's setting things up for later books. I'm reading the book after this right now, and I'm really enjoying it. So this is important, I guess, in the long epic sweep of everything. So there's that. Next up, I finished Fonda Lee's Greenbone Saga with Jade Legacy. I went on at length in my full-length review of the trilogy, but I really enjoyed this one. And this was also a good reminder that you don't always have to rush and scramble to like read the latest books the instant they come out. It's okay for things to be on your TBR for a bit. And you shouldn't feel pressured by social media to read things like the instant they come out, otherwise it's not worth reading. You know, like people still read like Middlemarch, and that came out in like the 1800s. So it's okay if you haven't yet read this and it's on your TBR and you haven't gotten to it. You're not a failure or a bad person. So get rid of that guilt. Next up, I read Forgotten War by Dawn Bentley. This was an arc that was sent to me by K Publicity. I really appreciated that. And I really enjoyed this one. It's a military thriller, but it had kind of a good soul to it. It's very much like, America Rar, military is awesome, everybody's a hero, that kind of stuff. But that's what you see in this kind of genre anyways. But there was some really good stuff in here about like the effects of the end of the war in Afghanistan on veterans who served in it, and kind of the psychological impact of kind of what that event did and how it was perceived by the general public. So, I mean, there's lots of explosions and quips and fun, and, it's a Matt Drake novel. It's a lot of fun. But I was really impressed with kind of the depth that the author infused this with. So that was a good read, and I'm looking forward to reading more in that series. I'm also reading through all of Anne Rice's vampire and witch stuff because that intertwines. And so I read Blackwood Farm. This one, it was kind of a disappointing read. It was fun in the beginning. It was exactly what I was looking for. It was like gothic and spooky and atmospheric, and there's like a murder mystery, and I was like with it. I was like, okay, that's great. There's like a ghost and stuff. And then it just became like a bizarre, like gothic twisted sex romp. And it would just kind of derailed the plot. Like it did kind of find the plot near the end again, So the ending was, I guess, okay, but there's like a whole section of it where you're just like, oh my god, can we just move past, please? But it wasn't bad. It was okay. I am kind of looking forward to the next one in the series, but we'll see. I'm rereading the series after having read it as like a teenager, and a lot of it hasn't aged well, but some of it has. So I don't know. It's kind of been hit or miss. And then I also read Louise Penny's A Fatal Grace. This is a cozy mystery. It's part of her Chief Inspector Gamache series. It's set in Quebec. This is kind of a winter-themed one, which is kind of fun because when I first started reading this, there was snow on the ground, and when I finished, it was gone. So it was some nice symbolism in real life there. But this was great. Louise Penny's one of those ones, if you like her writing style, you'll love it. If you like this series, you'll love it. It's cozy, and it's kind of a quirky small town filled with all kinds of goofy people, and a lot of people get murdered in this town, and it's up to this one guy to solve all these murders. So if you want something cozy, this is a good series. And that is everything that I read in the month of April. I read 7 books. My favorite of the group was probably Jade Legacy. That one, it's kind of unfair because it's the end of a trilogy, but it was really satisfying. It was a great read. I really enjoyed that one. Least favorite was probably Blackwood Farm. These Anne Rice ones, it's funny. She was like a mega fave of mine, and I have like this massive collection of like almost all of her books, a ton of them in hardcover. I was obsessed, and rereading them as an adult, it's like I can see why it appealed to me, but there was also a lot of really weird, wacky stuff that I either missed or repressed. So I don't know. We'll see, but it's fine. Currently, oh wait, I forgot one. I'm a bad person. I also read. This is so bad. Dark Force Rising, which is the second book in the 90s Thrawn trilogy, the Star Wars Thrawn trilogy. I'm rereading those as well, kind of reevaluating them as an adult because it's been decades since I've read them. And I'm genuinely really liking it. It's held up. It's funny reading something in the Star Wars universe that was written before the prequels, because there's a lot of stuff that has since been like disproven or negated by later movies and things, but it's still good. Like, it's still fun. You kind of exist in this parallel universe now, and I really enjoy it. So I don't know. I'm reading the 3rd one right now, and I'll probably finish that either today or tomorrow. But it's been a fun trip down memory lane. So there we go. So that's actually for real what I've read in the month of April. And that's the 7 books. I showed you 6 books. So I'm like, I read 7 books. So yeah, looking forward to the future thing. I've been reading a lot of big, huge, thick books. And so I want to read something smaller, I think, going forward, just to kind of, get my brain into gear again. So I recently got this, but I want to read E.M. Forster's Where Angels Fear to Tread. This is kind of a comedy of manners, maybe, but it's like a satire of like English high society, and E.M. Forster's great, so I'm looking forward to that. I've been wanting to read more literary fiction anyways. But I also want to read Isabel Allende's Zorro. This seems really interesting. I didn't know this book existed. I found it in a used bookstore a while back, and it was so intriguing. And this is actually the Zorro, like the Caped Crusader, before the Caped Crusader. So, that'll be fun. And I also want to give Virginia Woolf's Orlando a try. This is kind of a really strange book by her. And I love Virginia Woolf's prose. She does really cool stuff. I've read Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse, and her nonfiction book, A Room of One's Own. Yes, A Room of One's Own. Not A Room with a View. That's also Forster. A Room of One's Own. And this one is it seems kind of interesting. It's kind of a gender non-conforming kind of story. The character sort of switches gender, and I think also lives like immortally. Yeah, 3 centuries. So it's an immortal person who just changes gender over time, and Virginia Woolf is great with stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. But I do want to read this one. And I also want to read, this is True Reconciliation by Jody Wilson-Raybould. This is a nonfiction book about sort of the treatment of indigenous people in North America and kind of what can be done to bridge gaps and to move past the things, the systemic things that are kind of hurting that community or those communities across North America. So this one seemed really really interesting, and I wanted to check that one out. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of other things that I might end up reading. I keep looking at The Count of Monte Cristo. That's a book that I have read an abridged version as a young person, but I've never actually read the full book, and the full book is real chunky. But I'm in the mood for some swashling and buckling, and I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Like I said, it could be anything. Currently, I'm reading Amy Tan's The Bone Setter's Daughter. I have that in hardcover. I'm enjoying that one so far. I'm also reading the last book in the Thrawn trilogy, The Last Command, I think it's called, because Star Wars. And in audio, I'm listening to the next Wheel of Time book, Winter's Heart. So I'm enjoying that one pretty much too. I'm halfway through it, so we'll see how that goes. But here's to another month. May is going to be a month of sunshine and activity, and I'm going to have lots of stuff to do, so we'll see if I can keep up this reading. What's the thing where you're on a roll reading? Yeah, you're on a roll, and there's a word for that. I don't know. I'll remember it later. Who knows? But thank you for watching. This has been a chaotic review of the month of April, but that's okay because it was kind of a chaotic month. So moving on, I hope you're reading a whole bunch of stuff, and if you're not, I hope you're reading stuff that you love and are enjoying, and I will talk to you later because I'm going to make my actual for real video that's going to come out on Monday. So who knows when this will come out? It's a mystery. We'll see. Bye.